We spoke about test levels. Now let's talk about testing types. Basically, the test types are functional testing, non-functional testing, white box testing, change related testing, and testing types and testing levels, we have already discussed. So basically these are the testing types. So it could be functional, non-functional, white box, which is structure based testing, and change related testing. So let's touch upon each one of them one by one. Okay, now what do we mean by functional testing? It is a way of ensuring testing functions that the system should perform. So let's say we would have developed a system with certain functions in mind, whether they are functioning as intended. Okay, so functional testing is very much black box testing. Like black box testing meaning here we take the system and we don't look into the code, right? White box testing is a testing where we take a look into the code. So here in black box testing, we generally concentrate on specifications of the box as a whole. A box, actually only box we concentrate. So it is supposed to accept certain inputs and produce certain outputs. And then we also concentrate on functional coverage. So here let's say a particular a component is supposed to give certain functionalities. We check whether they are indeed implemented or not. Now these are functional testing. So functional testing, as we quick recap, basically a software is supposed to do certain functions. We check whether those functions are indeed implemented or not, and then functional testing is a black box approach. And then we also check functional coverage, how many functional capabilities we promised versus how many are implemented. Okay, now in non-functional testing, we concentrate on aspects like performance, security, portability, reliability, and usability. Okay. Now, what do we mean by performance? Let's say component is making use of certain algorithm. It is supposed to take input and produce output in certain time duration. Okay, now that is performance. So it is actually it is performing in that much specified time period or not, or it could be transactions per second measurements of a database system, or it could be how responsive the web application is, and those kind of things. Now next comes security. We check whether there are any security loopholes in the software developed. We also make sure there are no security loopholes. You could be doing static security testing with the help of tools like SonarQube or any other tool. And in addition to that, we also do DAS, that is dynamic analysis of software security testing. And then we also check whether portability aspect is addressed or not. Basically today the software may be working for certain hardware, and tomorrow if you decide to move to some other hardware, whether portability aspect is taken care or not. Reliability, how reliable the system as a whole. Now this is a very important aspect in networks. For example, telecom networks, generally how many nines the system is offering, right? 99.99 or 99.999. How reliable the system is. So for example, if you are a end user of mobile network, you want to be sure that mobile network is always up, right? So those kind of aspects, right? And usability, let's say a web application is there, you want to make sure it is usable by the end customer. Now next is white box testing. What we mean by white box testing is we take a peek into the code. We look into the code. Indeed, we look into the code, and we check whether the required statement coverage, whether required branch coverage, loop coverage, condition coverages are met or not. Okay. So there are tools for that, like you can attach a tool to the software and check whether required white box testing is achieved or not. Now, next is change related testing. Now, what we mean by change related testing is whenever a bug is or a defect is reported, let's say you fix that defect and then you check whether the defect is indeed fixed or not. So, some people also call it as retesting. So confirmation testing and retesting are synonymous. And then there is another concept called regression testing. Regression testing is also change related testing. So whenever you introduce new functionality, existing functionality should not be broken. So that is the idea behind regression testing. So in regression testing, you make sure all the existing functionalities are intact. Okay, so that is thing. And the test types and test labels, what we are talking about now, by now it will be clear. Testing types and test labels are different. So test labels is component integration, system acceptance, and testing types are functional, non-functional, white box, and change related testing. So with that understanding, let's conclude 2.3. Let's meet in section 2.4.